blasphemous topic that it feels super exciting.
Today we discussed the idea in my ethics class of applying artificial intelligence to weaponry. So having like smart bombs and smart drones that would be able to work autonomously.
No.
Welcome back to the No Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Santos, with my co-hosts, Juliana McKenna and Sam Schnee. This is episode 8, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, co-hosts.
No, you're right.
Right.
Yeah,
today's episode is going to be a bit shorter than usual, but we're just testing out things, so maybe it's going to turn out better, worse. We'll see. We'll fill things through. So, Juliana, how was your week or the past couple weeks?
I had a birthday. I'm 19.
Love those.
My mother, she was like, okay, you're making a big deal saying it's your birthday every single day. Everyone's telling you happy birthday early in advance, so I'm going to do something. She did something. She woke me up at 9 and she said, we're going to Portland. And I said, what the fuck? And I called my friend. I was supposed to go and hang out with her. This was on my birthday. And I was like, hey, Lily, we're supposed to go and make cakes today. Sorry, I have to cancel my plans. I'm going to Portland. 10 minutes later, go to my mom's room. She's like, sorry, we're not going to Portland. The flight leaves in 30 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck
good Lord.
is going on?
What?
Then she's like, oh, it's okay. We can go somewhere else. I'm like, okay, where are we going? We look at some like islands next to Florida. We're talking San Diego, LA, Seattle, Ontario. And then I'm like, I want to go to Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii. All these bitches be saying they be going to Hawaii for Christmas.
All these
and
bitches,
Thanksgiving.
bro. All these bitches.
All these bitches. I want to go. And the next flight leaves at 6. And I'm like, well, that's when I have class. Like I have class right after. Like that seems tight, but I don't really care. I have no idea what's going on. Just buy the fucking tickets. So she buys them. And we fly there. You know, you need COVID tests to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone's been talking about that. My mom's like, hey, well, I shouldn't really say what I did. She's like, hey, let's just not go without them. Let's just go without them. Let's just not go with COVID tests. And I'm like, okay, sounds fun. We get on the plane, we fly over, and Hawaii is super strict. And they're like, you can't go anywhere without one. You can't walk anywhere on our state without a COVID test. And it has to be a specific kind, and it has to be current. You just got to give us one that's really new. And we don't have that. And so they're like, okay, you can either go home and come back, or you could just go, or you could stay the duration of your trip. You're just going to be in quarantine the entire time. And in the moment, I'm like, I'm not staying.
Was there nowhere that you could get just like one of those quick, like couple hour COVID tests?
So the way that the law works is that I think it's a punishment system when the way that the laws working, but it's just, it doesn't matter if you get a COVID test in Hawaii because they just are still going to force you to be under the quarantine because you have to sign a contract. Sign a contract to be under quarantine. Contract. And even if you got a COVID test and it came out negative, it doesn't break your quarantine.
So, what's the point of being vaccinated?
And the vaccine doesn't qualify there yet. Even though 50% of the state is vaccinated, it doesn't count. Like just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean that you can just walk around and have fun. So we were quarantining in our hotel for the 3 days. Me and my mom had this back and forth, and I was like, I give up. I won't leave. You can say that we go. And I didn't want to go to the hotel. We spent like $200 in taxis. And that was like a birthday present. So like that was spending a birthday present on a current birthday present. And I mean, in reality, I am incredibly privileged. And it was a wonderful trip in the sense of like the scenery, the weather. I got tan, and there's nothing better than being tan. Like,
yeah.
It's scientifically proven. So, and I put on sunscreen. So I don't want to hear it.
I'm tan. No, I understand it. Being tan is great.
You just feel like you look great.
Oh yeah, I know.
I look pale right now, so I don't think I look any different right now. But when I look at myself in the window of my car, I am so happy with myself.
She loves herself.
I love myself.
Dude, this is goals right here. Just being happy with yourself.
That's what we preach, being, loving yourself and being who you are.
Yep.
Sam, let's move on to you then.
All right. So the personal things, I got a deck of cards recently that I've been waiting on for months and months. Probably around 8 or 9 months, I think, since I ordered them.
Almost like a baby.
Yeah. I finally put up my anime posters, which is fantastic. I've been working out regularly. And in family news, my sister just came home to visit, which is super nice. She graduated college last year and is about to move with her boyfriend to Colorado for him to go and get his master's degree.
Ooh.
Wow.
So that's super exciting.
Happy birthday, Emma. Happy
Oh
birthday.
yeah, I forgot to mention that. It was her birthday 2 days ago.
Happy birthday!
So-
Happy late birthday, Emma.
Wait,
Yeah.
is her birthday, what is it? That's the 24th? The
Well,
25th?
2 days ago was the
24th.
Oh,
I'm not sure how many days ago that was.
We're so
3.
close.
3 days ago.
Emma, we're so close.
by any chance, did you guys like see the moon last night?
Oh
There
my
was
god,
one
it was
on the cliff.
insane.
It was a big moon. It was big.
massive
It was
and
big.
it was red
Mhm.
and it kind of looked like it was smushed a little bit.
It looked like a cheese ball.
It reminded me of do you guys remember back during like the fire season, good probably like 6 months ago when that like red haze
Mm.
came across the Bay Area?
Yeah, like apocalyptic.
Yeah, it was when I was living in San Francisco, and I remember just walking outside the apartment, and it is just an orange haze, and you can see like 2 blocks at most.
Mm.
And it looked so cool. It was like there was a zombie apocalypse going on.
It did look.
And
Really
it was the streets were empty. No one was going outside. It was so crazy looking.
Oh my god, I can remember that. I distinctly remember that because I remember waking up at 5 a.m. and seeing the sky like pitch red and the ash on my car and just being like, what in the world? And I'm like tasting the air and I'm like, it tastes like LA.
It tastes like
Tastes
LA.
like LA.
Which you're gonna be moving to, so that's gonna be your home.
Better get used to that taste.
Oh god, it tastes like shit in LA. Like the air
Yeah.
tastes so bad, and I'll shut up about it. But like I've been looking at apartments all week, and I'm also just not looking at apartments at the same time. You're looking at it, but it's not really happening. But Josh, what happened with you?
Let's see. So I got vaccinated, right? And I was sick for about the entire week. And then this new week rolled around. I drank a couple times. I drank last night, and I watched like the big cheese moon come into existence. It was pretty exciting.
Cheese moon.
I also tie-dyed yesterday, paddleboard a bit, and I went on this
Nice.
huge, arduous run. And because I haven't been running, and I should be running for Navy, but yesterday I ran for like one of the first times, and I literally killed my body. Like I am so exhausted.
Dude, I hate running.
Yeah,
Cardio sucks.
Paddleboarding. Where?
it's in the lagoon. Like there's tons of lagoons around here, and my friend Cassie just has a lagoon like in her backyard, so we just hop right on there.
Oh yeah, Cassie's back.
Does she have paddle boards?
Yeah, she's like 6.
Damn.
Oh, at her
Crazy.
house. Oh, I know where.
Like her dock is like right, like literally a foot away from the lagoon. So, besides that, today I woke up, did some extra workouts, I guess, ate some food, and I passed out on my porch because I was so exhausted, and my stomach was just so full. You guys know how you get so full and like
Yeah.
you just don't want to move and stuff like that. That was me. But then I still texted the homies and I was like, "You guys, the podcast is on. Like, I'll sacrifice. You guys sacrifice. Let's get this going." So
I never remember the times that we schedule. Everyone's always like, "Oh, are we playing today?" And I'm like, I wasn't paying
Yeah, you're
attention.
like,
I need to be setting
yeah,
attention.
that's why I do the check-ins. That's why I
Dude,
do the
I'm
check-ins.
I'm so glad that I went to check my phone because I didn't have it on me. I was just spending time with my sister, and then I was like, oh wait, I need to text someone to make sure that we're still doing this thing tomorrow. And I look and I pick up my phone and I just see like missed call from Juliana and like a bunch of texts from Josh, and I was like, oh shit.
He finally
We're
realized
still
that he
here.
fucked up right there.
Yeah, we still here.
Um.
It's been
Anyways,
a week.
Sam was talking briefly about a genetic modification, and like I sort of want to like bring it into like a different sort of topic
Genetic
for this podcast.
modification?
Yeah, like you said, for weaponry, right?
I was
Oh,
talking about
AI.
I was talking about using artificial intelligence to make smart weapons.
Well, I want to like sort of
It's not.
like close to there, but it's not really close to there. So I'm gonna go
Sure.
completely different. You guys remember that movie, Spy Kids, right?
Yup.
And they go to this island
With the thumbs.
with no, not the thumbs. Oh, it could be
Not
with
the
the thumbs.
The
But
thumb,
it's like
thumb
this.
people.
It's like the spider monkey and like all those different kind of creatures are mixed with other creatures.
And oh yes, that's I think Spy Kids 2.
Oh, Spy Kids too. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
It's like
I love
like a
that
gorilla with a spider body, and it's mixed.
Yup, I remember that one.
I want to get you guys' idea on when it comes to when it comes to being ethical and actually doing those things in this world. What are you guys' thoughts on it? Like mixing, animals with other animals.
It is interesting because we're definitely an absurdly far way off from being able to do something like that.
Are we
and
though? Are we though?
we
wasn't
legitimately
that
are.
That sheep that was born in 2006.
They managed to clone. They managed to clone a sheep. Yeah, sure, I guess. But we're still like, there's the whole thing of like, oh, can you bring?
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah,
Horse person spider thing.
It looks pretty cool.
But yeah, so there was this. A lot of people are like, oh, bring a woolly mammoth back to life, and they're like, nowhere. They've been working on it for years, and they're nowhere near being able to make a woolly mammoth. So I don't think we're anywhere close to doing it, but I think it's a difference between making new life and changing current life. Because I think if you took a gorilla that was currently alive and then managed to like splice its body together with a spider's, like with a massive spider body, and get it to like mutate, I think that would potentially be not super ethical. But if you could create like a new species, I think that would be potentially quite interesting.
Do we not all remember Full Metal Alchemist episode whatever the fuck with that fucking kid?
The
Chimera? Do we not remember this?
But that was the first thing. He was taking humans and changing them.
But there's
a
billion different animals that he made as well. Like she was just one of his last creations.
But he was making those out of people. All of them were made out of other living beings. He didn't make them.
Animals are living.
I know. He was taking an animal and turning it into something else, which is the part I was saying is less ethical.
You're talking about Hunter x Hunter?
No, we're talking about Full Metal Alchemist.
Because I remember the Chimera arc, they would take like dead human beings and they would mix them and, and turn into different like animals and stuff like that.
Different thing. Julian also hasn't seen that part.
Okay.
But no, different. In Full Metal Alchemist, there's this dad who is renowned, or he like had some really good research, but if he didn't produce new research, he was going to lose his, I don't know, like alchemist guild license. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
His like license, I guess. And he was so desperate that he ended up fusing his daughter and their dog into a chimera, induce one that could speak.
That's
fucked.
That's wild.
It's just as fucked as everything else. I would assume the answer is no. I actually don't even remember the question.
No, but like if you think about it like this, human evolution, like it's gradually starting to decrease because we're not really adapting as much when it comes to like physical means. But what if you took like spider, mixed with the human, made it so they could like have extra arms and like they could spray out webs, be Spider-Man exactly. Or be like get a human and mix it with like a gorilla, have that extra powerful strength right there, right? So there's different kind of like possibilities. Do you guys just think when it comes to the social unrest, they'd be completely against it? Or like the conservatives would be like, this is a thing that's not part of God. This is like the Satan, the devil type of shit.
I think they'd just be regarded as freaks and outcasts. Though I do have a potentially more realistic question that's similar.
here's the thing. DC Comics, they're doing this. It's called The Titans. Go watch it on HBO Max if you want. But I
Wow,
mean,
a plug.
I mean, it's just, I think that it could go in a bunch of different ways. And for the record, Titans is a great show. And Titans has always been a great show, other than Teen Titans Go. And any other, like, DC has done a great
People
job.
hated on that show. I loved that show when I was a kid.
Wait,
That show is so much fun.
no, Teen Titans Go is the Cartoon Network.
Yeah, it's the cartoony one. Yeah.
No, there was Sam.
Yes, I
Teen
liked that
Titans,
show.
And
then there's Teen Titans Go. I'm
I like the
fully
original
aware.
Teen Titans.
So I liked both of them.
You like Teen Titans Go?
I liked them
It's
both. I
all
watched
right.
Teen Titans, and then I
alright.
transitioned to Teen Titans Go because they stopped really doing Teen Titans, and I was like,
Teen
I don't like this.
Teen Titans, the show, and the movie where they go to Japan are god tier, and I love them.
I don't think they were god tier.
I mean, it was.
They are god tier for like 7-year-old me. Oh my gosh!
Fair enough,
Like
fair
after Avatar ended, I was like, what do I watch? And it immediately went to Teen Titans. And then after that, there was the dry spell of nothing. So to me, like those two are just so special to my childhood. But at the same time, like it would just be like X-Men or like any of the Marvel people, like WandaVision. She is a genetically modified thing with like the Infinity Stone, and the Infinity Stone could be considered something that's living. So I think that like it sounds sick. And as someone who's curious to see what would happen with like someone who has monkey arms or spider, whatever the fuck, I'd love to see it. Like Arachnid, what we were talking about in our first episode, that's all about bugs.
God, what a fucking...
Oh, this is so random, but I was just on Twitter and Joey, the anime man, he was like, this ant is like humongous. It's in my house. I thought I was leaving Australia, but I'm back and all these ants are here. And it made me think to like all the insect shit that you see in manga and anime and like the bug arc in Hunter x Hunter. And it's just like, fucking bugs are everywhere. I didn't even know how I did that.
Well, Juliana tried to mute herself and accidentally stopped the recording. I'd like to propose a similar question that I think is slightly more realistic. I Obamacare about you. So
What's your question?
The question that I want to propose is the morality and ethics behind using genetic editing to change an infant in order to get rid of stuff like polio or Huntington's or blindness or like any of those things while a child is developing in the womb. Juliana's going crazy over here.
Why are you said polio? It's just like, because that's gone. But anyway,
that's one of the
CRISPR,
first things
right?
that came to
Isn't that
mind.
the thing already? It's CRISPR. It's like you could genetically modify your kid to have like blue eyes and
Also, like
blonde and
designer babies.
Kind
What are you
of.
talking about? But like instead of like
No, but
being
this is
designer
like...
gorgeous, they're just like super healthy.
Yeah, so this would be like, it would be using gene modifying to more or less eliminate stuff like blindness or people who don't have the use of their legs. You drinking out of a spray bottle right now that you'd use to like spritz a cat? All right, anyways, so yeah, it would be using gene modifying so that like no one will be born with Huntington's disease, or no one will be born without the use of any of their limbs, or they will have all the use of their 5 senses, so stuff like that.
I think I would be completely for it. You know, I feel as we move on as a society, sometimes we can address those problems. And of course, morality is like, we shouldn't change like genetics and like certain things like that. But I think if we can, fix things and like actually like provide a solution with the risk being super low, I think I would definitely be for it. Let my child go, and if he has a potential to be blind, let the genetics go and be modified so he can see. I'm down for it, man.
Yeah. I am trying to be on the opposing side only because I would agree with you normally, Josh, but it just makes me think like, oh, if you could get rid of like stunted height, or I guess it's not really, I don't know, dwarfism, blindness, it makes me think, like, what can you get rid of internally? Because some people are born with internal issues like bipolar, depression, like those are things that are genetically
Yeah.
connected to them.
Oh,
And
hello.
it just makes me think, like, oh, hi, little Conan. Hi,
Conan
little
is here.
Conan. It just makes me think, like, how easy is life gonna be if we don't have those challenges already for us? And is that losing a bit of our own humanity by creating that?
No, I think we definitely already have enough challenges as it is. Because even if you do have bipolar or depression, like you still gotta move on and keep going. If you let that thing like sag you down, then what the fuck are you doing? Like, sorry, it's hard, but you gotta keep moving. Like, you can't let that be the detriment to your life.
It
So
just,
even
well, like, think about it. Like, if, like, we have a huge disparity gap between people that are underprivileged and incredibly privileged people. And the one
yeah,
thing that I know that I'm gonna have to talk about for like the rest of my life personally is that I'm an incredibly privileged person who has a lot of access to a lot of things, and that I'm gonna be fine no matter what happens to me. And if I have the opportunity to genetically modify my child, not only so they live, they're already living in a fabulous environment with good schools, and I'm paying for their education and getting like more than anybody else is getting, and they're genetically modified to be potentially beautiful or potentially incredibly healthy, and like you're just changing them so much, and they don't have any mental issues or they don't have any physical disparities. The gap between people that don't have it and the people that do, I think that that is a dangerous thing to play with, just in the sense that like people could get so mad at the rich, like that could start a war. Like, you guys are so far ahead of us, we'll never get close to you. There are 7 billion people in this world, and not all of us can genetically modify our kids to be perfect and healthy and happy.
So
So, I
what if it
mean, it's
was
a sort of ethnic cleansing that I just think that,
ethnic
that's how I
cleansing?
see it. I see it as like people that are poor and people that have mental issues potentially are going to be eradicated, because this is going to be becoming bigger and bigger, and the people that will never get access to that kind of luxury will just die without it.
What if it was something similar to just free healthcare in places like England and Australia, where you just like it is a normal part of the process of giving birth, where you come in, they are able to somehow get a sample and tell whether or not your infant's gonna have it, and then they can get rid of it, and it's just as simple as going in a checkup, not with America's fucked up healthcare system that's way too classist, but with
I'm
a
definitely I'm
somewhat
definitely
improved
thinking
one.
about places like the United States that have very messed up healthcare systems.
Yeah,
Like the United States, I for some reason Russia and China come to mind, but I actually don't know anything
I
about
know
their
nothing
healthcare.
about their healthcare.
So I won't do that. But I mean, I think that would be, I think the same issue would still arise, but it'd be on a much lower level if that's what we're talking about. If everyone has access, if everyone technically could have access to this kind of um, science.
I think Julian, you brought up like class discrimination, which always existed. I think it probably won't exist maybe to the fullest extent that it will be due to genetics. But I feel like if you're in the lower class, which I think I consider myself to have been, maybe am in there, because when it comes to income, that's like where the line I stand at is. But you obviously push yourself like harder and you go harder. Of course, like things might be more desperate because of genetics, but when you like kick in that human survival instinct, like it might even be like better, you know? Because once you're like bred to be perfect and you don't really know how to fuck up and like all this extra shit, you sort of start to decline, you know? You've sort of like reached a peak already when you were born. So maybe the lower classes, like something might be able to be gained out of that, you know? I don't know.
That already exists in a sense. Just like people that get to where they are just because of their families, like legacies that go to college just because their families went there, like Jared Kushner and like how he got to Yale, or I actually don't know where he went to school, but he had like very average grades and he has a very fabulous job and he does absolutely nothing substantial or incredible. So I think that it would be really similar to how it is now, and where people that are in lower income situations can rise to the occasion and rise based off luck and off skill to become incredibly successful, famous people. I guess not necessarily famous, but incredibly successful people. I still think that the percentage of people that are able to do that would be low, if not lowered, by this, because one of the biggest issues with rich people not succeeding based off of the standard that they've been, the pedestal that they've been put on, and yet they're still not ascending their parents, or they're not impressing themselves by any means, is that they have everything, and so they're privileged and they don't see their privilege, and then they ignore the fact that they have that stepping stone, and they do nothing with their extra help that they have. And I think that if people are healthier in the mind, in the body, they're going to be able to rise to that occasion much more easily, which in my opinion would make the ability to have lower income people rise in success like they do in the United States, for example. I think that would be much more difficult.
Sam?
Sorry, this is so long.
It's good. I have a timer going. You still got like 8 minutes. So I'm personally very for it, but one argument against it that I thought was interesting is that those who currently have disabilities are worried about it increasing discrimination against those with the disability.
Are we talking about physical or mental?
Physical.
Really?
Which I can potentially see,
yeah.
But I also think is a horrible argument, because I think it just shows you being very selfish, because I'm sure there are many people who are like, oh, this family member, like my son, my brother, my friend, my mother, like whoever it is, has this disease, and I love them for it and all this. But it's like, okay, sure, but would their life not be better if they didn't have whatever was ailing them? And is it really right to, because of your own fears of discrimination, condemn countless future generations to also have to suffer through the hardships of that disease? It's our job as people on this earth not to make life better for the generations that come after us.
No, exactly. I completely agree with
that is our job. That is our job. Wait, how does that connect to people discriminating against people that are disabled?
Because they're worried that as the disease becomes, because there's already discrimination against people with physical and mental disabilities, and so they're worried that as those disabilities become less and less common, the discrimination is going to get worse. But it's really only themselves that they're worrying about, because their children won't have to worry about that. Their children won't have the diseases.
Potentially, if their children have access to this technology, then yeah, they wouldn't have to deal with this.
Again, assuming that I'm in my made-up world, this is a free healthcare society.
This sounds like a world that exists without the internet. To hear that people, just in the sense that like if people are becoming more prejudiced to people with disabilities, like I feel like that's a very insensitive thing. And one of the wonderful things about the internet is that we become more educated on everyone's experiences individually. And one of the experiences that I feel like I'm more educated on than I would have ever been if I hadn't had the internet is people that have disabilities, relationships with life. And because of that, I have so much empathy that I would have never had without the internet. So to think that with science, people would become more prejudiced towards disability, I would assume that the internet would be educating people to be more empathetic to people that have these disabilities. So to hear that it would become, discrimination would become worse, it's heartbreaking. I don't know why I'm taking this so seriously, but like,
I mean, yeah,
it just
it's
hurts.
just all hypothetical.
Yeah, it's a
I know.
potential that could happen.
All right. I think that might potentially be a good ending place for this small, just filler episode. Sorry that we had to cut it shorter. Please let us know in the comments what you thought of this short episode. It might be that the other ones were too long for everybody. So let us know, because we could potentially start doing these faster ones maybe more often, or at the same schedule, just less to watch. Also, sorry we didn't get to Anime Lovers Anonymous or to Jesselyn's request, but we apologize again, but it is coming. So you can find me at SomeShanae on Instagram.
You can find me at Juliana McKenna on everything.
You can find me Joshua Santos on Craigslist.
Have a great week, everybody.
See you guys.